Hello and welcome to Think About It. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. So today I am over the moon, or at least still sitting in my chair, about the person that I'm interviewing today. We are going to be talking about those soft skills that we all need in order to have those hard conversations. And my guest is Sam Horn. And Sam Horn is the founder and CEO of the Intrigue agency. So we're going to intrigue you about what Sam does. Sam, welcome to Think About It.
Thanks so much, Sylvia. I'm looking forward to sharing some stories and insights with your community.
And for my viewers to know why I'm so over the moon. So I have known Sam for, I don't know, probably 20 years or so. We were both in the same national speakers group back in the DC area back in the day. And Sam, one of your former books, that's still, available, the Tung Fu, which I just love that title, taught me a lot. And I have integrated probably over the years a lot of those concepts of taking two words and combining them to create a different word. Because I help people a lot with ideas. When they get that moment for ideas, they get ideagasms. I coined that term.
Well done, Sylvia.
And I mean, most recently, there's other examples, but I'm not going to take our time on that. Most recently, I was trying to figure out a title for my LinkedIn newsletter, and I knew it was about leadership because that's what I do. But I knew it was editorial because I was going to be talking a lot about my thoughts. So the name of the newsletter on LinkedIn is Leadertorial. So I just, hey.
She's on fire, folks.
I have loved that concept and it's stuck with me forever. So now we're introducing to my viewers the current concept, which are usable skills for having conversation. So let me move right into the program. First of all, because I don't do long bio introductions, I want you to share your background because you've got a really neat story about why talking on eggshells is the primary topic today.
You know, I was doing a Tung Fu workshop a while back, and a gentleman raised his hand, and he said that he worked for a very tough, very demanding, volatile boss. And he said, my team and I, we just walk on eggshells all day long. We never know what's going to set him off. And I said, oh, you're not walking on eggshells. You're talking on eggshells. Voila. And we all have at least one person in our life. And it seems like we can't say anything right. We're always worried about saying something wrong. This book is how to help us know what to say and not to say in the challenging situations we face every day.
And it's not just the book. You work with organizations, you work with individuals is more of a question than a statement, even though it sounds like a statement. So what all do you do to help people have these hard conversations?
You know, I'm very fortunate. I get to do the Holy Trinity. I get to speak, write, and consult. So when I speak, it's for organizations like Oracle and Intel and Accenture. And it's helping their employees, whether it's walking into a very tough meeting or whether it's dealing with an upset customer or whether it's negotiating a deal, help them craft their communication to help turn that into a win. And I write, and as you noticed, I've written books. Tung Fu, actually, China's National Public Library said it was the most checked out book in 2018.
Wow.
And Seth Godin said it's the best book he's ever seen on marketing. And Dan Pink said Got Your Attention was the best book he ever saw on presenting and persuading and pitching. And then consulting, I work with individuals. What do you care about? You know, what's a message you have, an ideagasm that you have, a project? And how can you communicate it very quickly and confidently so even the most skeptical decision maker the eyebrows are up and they're going, tell me more.
Great. And so our viewers, to let you know that this is not, quote, just a book pitch or just a business pitch. We're going to cover today some real, some situations and then what we can say, what we typically say, and then what we can say differently in order to encourage having making these hard conversations, I won't say easier, but go more smoothly. But
Yeah.
overall, why is it so difficult for us to have challenging conversations?
Sylvia, it's ironic, isn't it? I mean, in school, we're taught math and science and history. We're taught physics. We're taught calculus. We don't use all of that every single day. And we're never taught how to communicate. We're not taught what to say when someone blames us for something that's not our fault. We're not taught what to do when someone's talking and won't stop. And so that's one of the purposes of this book, is that what can we say in those situations, and we don't know what to say, and as a result we either don't say anything, which makes it worse, or we say what's on the tip of our tongue, which makes it worse.
Yes. So hopefully some of your advice or some of your guidance today will help some of us that kind of open our mouths before we really think about what we've said. And as we get older, I'm noticing some of those barriers tend to break away and we say things that we wouldn't have said in our younger years.
Isn't it interesting is that through my work and research, I really introduced that there are 4 styles of conflict resolution, and a lot of it is imprinted when we're growing up. And one is avoid, is that maybe we were one of those individuals and our parents were fighting and we had our pillow pulled over our head and we were just wishing it would go away. Well, sometimes that is our habit. And now if we see a challenging conversation, we just ghost it. We just go somewhere else. And then there's accommodate, and these are the people pleasers, and these are the people who don't want to offend, so we go along to get along. And then there's the angry. Maybe we grew up where there was one person in our family and they got really upset and volatile, and everyone backed up. And so we learned, oh, okay, that's the way you get your way. Yeah. Here's the thing, though, is that avoiding, accommodating, and getting angry don't help. So this is how to assert, and this is how, in the moment, to handle a situation proactively and graciously instead of thinking of the perfect response on the way home.
And I used to envy when you watch things on TV and I think, oh, I wish I had a script writer to tell me those exact words that I should have said when I said something differently. So you're kind of our script writer today through your book. So I'm going to do something go ahead, huh?
Well, you just picked up on something. In fact, unless someone's driving, I hope that they get a piece of paper, put a vertical line right down the center, because I put words to lose on the left and words to use on the right. Because Sylvia, what you just said is that sometimes we go to a workshop and people will say, don't let people get under your skin. And you're going, good idea. How do I do that? So this book, we don't talk about platitudes, these sweeping generalizations. It's like, no, here's what to say when people complain. Here's what to say when you don't know what to say. And when you know these words, they come to you in the moment, and finally you can handle them in a way that helps instead of hurts.
And for everybody who thinks that's just theory, I came to one of Sam's earlier workshops and did just that. I can't hold things up on the screen very well, but I did just that. So as we're going along, I want my viewers to do that, because like I do with a lot of my programs, I want to tap in on the beginnings of our content before we take a quick break. And that's kind of the teaser, the carrot for people to come back and listen to the second half to continue learning more from our conversation. And so until we reach the break time, so I'd like to look at some personal situations as well as some professional situations. And I realize communication, you really can't separate the two, but because I've got viewers of all ilk, I wanted to address several of those situations. So I asked you to think about or to share 3 or 4 situations and have our viewers do what you just said. So let's start out, and then I'll let you know when it's time for a break, and we'll come back and continue that process. So
sounds good.
You've got it.
Okay, over on the left, put complain. What can we say when people complain? Over on the left, under words to lose, whatever you do, don't explain, because we think that explanations, will the people go, oh, okay, now I understand. I forgive you. No, they get angrier because explanations come across as excuses. People get angrier because they feel we're not being accountable. Over on the right, put the A train. A for agree. A for apologize, A for act. Say you're late to pick someone up and they say, you were supposed to be here an hour ago. Over on the left, oh, I know, I was stuck in traffic. Over on the right, A for agree, you're right. I was supposed to pick you up an hour ago. A for apologize, and I'm sorry you ended up waiting so long. A for act, and from now on, if I'm trying to pick you up on a Friday, I'm building in a cushion for Murphy's Law. Do you see how the A train expedites complaints? Explanations aggravate them.
Question for you, because I said I
Yeah.
might pop in and dig a little deeper. So following that process, does that stop the complainer, or does that pivot the complainer to kind of think, maybe it isn't the way I just complained that it is, and they change their attitude also? So are you changing their behavior, or are you just reacting differently?
I tell you, Sylvia, I just love what you brought up, because the whole goal of this book is to be a pattern interrupt. Elvis Presley said, when things go wrong, don't go with them. Right. And over on the left, explaining when things go wrong, finding fault, using the word but, using the word should. Well, I hear what you're saying, but we tried that before. You did a good job on that, but you forgot. It's like, well, you should have called if you didn't know what was going, all of those things make it worse. And the responses on the right, Sylvia, the good news, it helps the other person and it helps us, because
Okay.
it shifts the conversation to finding solutions instead of fault. It shifts us to being on the same side instead of side against side. So as we share more situations, people will feel and hear the trend, which is that, when something happens, someone's blaming us for something that's not true. We say, someone says, you women are so emotional. We say, we're not emotional. Now we are.
That's right.
Right? If instead on the right, we say, well, what do you mean? Well, this is the third time you've cried. Oh, okay, let's talk about crying and how it's honest emotion and nothing to apologize for. You women are so catty to each other. Instead of saying, I don't agree with that. No, say, you know what I found? I found women are real supporters with each other, so that we redirect the conversation instead of deny it. All of these things work for the other person and for us and for the situation.
And it sounds like we're not blaming them. The good old I statements for giving feedback come into play, it sounds like.
Sylvia, let's go there for a second, because that has become an eye roller. It's like, I believe in owning our behavior. I don't like to be talked to that way. I don't agree with that. I don't like that tone of voice. Now let's move into bullies for a moment, because this book talks about dealing with verbal abusers and manipulators and passive aggressive people and narcissists.
Mhm.
So see, using the I word works when we're dealing with people who have a conscience, who care what's fair, who want a win-win. There are people I call them 5%ers. They don't want a win-win. They want to win.
Mm.
They don't want to cooperate. They want to control. And if we use the I word with them, I don't like being spoken to in that tone of voice, they'll go tough. They don't want you to like it. That's why they're doing it. So see, with them, instead of using an I reply, we actually do the you back off, you enough, you take your hand off my shoulder, because it keeps the attention where it belongs, which is on their inappropriate behavior instead of our reaction to it.
Perfect timing. So to keep our viewers intrigued, we're going to take a really quick break, and then we'll come back and hit on some other situations and give us the script. So with that, We'll be right back.
All of us have a role to play in promoting a mental health friendly workplace.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for a supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can be a source of support.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others that none of us are alone.
And that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Hello, welcome back to Think About It. I am still Sylvia Henderson, your host, and we're still having a conversation with Sam Horn, the founder and CEO of the Intrigue agency. And we're still talking about those soft skills for hard conversations. My sidebar, because I work with communication skills, I've always cringed at the soft skills phrase, but that's what people know. So I keep trying to call it interpersonal competencies, but most of the world calls it soft skills because there's such key skills. So Sam, we left people dangling on some situations that you can offer some suggestions for how to turn those situations around. So I'm going to stop talking and let you share some more examples and what we need to say, because you do this so smoothly and so.
Well, thank you. And, let's go there for a second and talk about soft skills, because the subtitle of the book is Soft Skills for Hard Conversations. And some people have pushed back. Oh, no, Sam, we don't call them soft skills anymore. We call them power skills, or we call them people skills and so forth. And Jeff Weiner, who's former CEO of LinkedIn, said that this is the number one career skills gap now. Is we can find coders, we can find techies, we can find, what we cannot find are people who have what I call proactive grace. It's not just enough to have grace. Kindness, compassion, empathy are all important. However, in business, we need proactive grace. We need people to find solutions, not just find fault. And so we talk about friendly phrases. And one of my most important friendly phrases, other than, thank you, please, that's all nice. We know that, though, is look forward. I hope that we start bracketing our communications at work with something that references our previous communication, even if it's personal. Hey, how did that 10K go? Oh, you were in Hawaii last time we talked. And this, you've heard the same, it's just business, it's not personal. Oh, business is personal. We're people here. And so these friendly phrases, when I go speak somewhere, the meeting planner runs up and almost invariably says, can you clone Sherry? and Sherry is my business manager, is because as busy as she is, she always opens and ends the conversation with something warm and personal. And the end is, we look forward to seeing you at that meeting. We look forward to hearing back from you. We look forward to having the opportunity to speak at your conference. And it is so rare and it is so welcome. Jack Welch said that if you don't have a competitive edge, don't compete. I think if we don't have a competitive edge, we can't compete. And what you and I are talking about is actually what's going to help you get the job. It's going to help you get the contract, because the technical skills may be somewhat even. It's the person they can trust to take care of the clients and the coworkers that they're going to give that position to. So maybe we call them soft skills. However, I think sometimes we need some softness, some proactive softness in a cruel world.
And interesting you say that, because I'm hearing a lot of the Zoom fatigue, or whatever system you're using, fatigue.
Yeah.
One of the things I found, though, is in the last couple of years, when I've talked to potential clients and existing clients who are virtual or real, but online, I can see their backgrounds, and I see pictures, I see cool stuff on their shelves, and we get personal, oh, that's a cool picture. What's that mean? And that opens up the conversation. So I agree with you. The personal is, helps create that relationship. And actually, you mentioned something about, oh goodness, what did you call it? Let me get it. being able to read a situation.
Oh, good. Yeah, I call it ISA. And Desmond Tutu said, we've got to stop pulling people out of the river. We've got to go upstream and find out where they're falling in.
Yes.
And Sylvia, that's the best quote I've ever heard about showing the difference of reacting, right? Reacting to what's happening, or being proactive and figuring out how we can prevent it, how we can handle it more effectively next time. And so one of my favorite examples of interpersonal social awareness, and I'll tell a bad story on myself, is when I did not have it. is that right out of college, I had an opportunity to work with Rod Laver, who's Grand Slam champion, tennis champion, Rod Laver, at his tennis resort on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. Well, even though I was in my 20s, I was representing the resort at the island board meetings. And I was young and eager. Forgive me, Sylvia, I did not know what. And, I had a lot of ideas and I was very open and free about sharing them. And thank heaven for Dale Schutte, who was the general manager of the Palmetto Dunes Hyatt. He pulled me aside after a few meetings and he suggested gently, he said, Sam, I think you might want to sit on your hands for the next couple of meetings. Well, Sylvia, I had not heard that phrase before. I said, what do you mean? He said, Sam, every single person in that meeting is senior to you, and yet you've done most of the talking. That was not good interpersonal situational awareness. I was not reading the room. And he said, Sam, before you say something, ask yourself these 3 questions. Is it timely? Is it welcome? Is it additive? See, Sylvia, if I'd had interpersonal social awareness, I would have looked around and I would have looked that maybe some people were like, her again, and I was not reading the room. And what this book shows is how to read the room so we can lead the room.
Love that phrase. And yes, so that's what I was thinking about. So let's jump in because I know time's moving. How about another situation and the left column, right column?
Good. Let's think about, we're frustrated. Someone's blaming us for something that's not our fault. Someone's taking their frustration out on us. Well, over on the left, put the words impatient and how rude. And my 84-year-old Aunt Kay volunteers at a hospital. And she did this even during COVID. And I asked her, what was it like? And she said, stressful. I said, well, what's an example of a stressful situation that you had to handle? And she said, a woman came, rushing in through the double doors, holding up her phone saying, I just got a text from my daughter. She's been in an accident. She's in the ER. I need to see her. Well, Kay called the ER. There was somebody already with the daughter. And you may remember the policy during COVID, only one visitor per patient. Kay had to deliver the news to the mother that she could not get in to see her daughter. And understandably, the woman lost it. She's sobbing, she's screaming. Now over on the left, Kay could have reacted. She could have thought, how rude. Why are you blaming me? I didn't make the rules. There's nothing I can do about it. Instead, over on the right, she used 4 words. You know what the words were? How would I feel? How would I feel if my daughter were in the ER and I couldn't get in to see her? It moved her from impatience to empathy, from contempt to compassion, from there's nothing I can do to let me see if there's something I can do. She called the ER back. She said, who is with the daughter? Sylvia, it was the Uber driver who had brought the young woman in.
Wow.
Kay was able to explain the situation, thank him, he left, and the mother was able to be with the daughter. And that is, what a transformational example of don't blame me, not my fault, all of that, how rude over on the left to how would I feel, which can transform us from contempt to compassion, impatience to empathy.
And so viewers don't think this is just for us adults, you've transferred the skill to your son, who you've shown, and people need to watch your videos on your site. Your grandson is understanding and learning some of these skills.
Thank you for asking that, Sylvia. I am lucky enough to have two sons, and my books and presentations, I love to share examples of not only how I use these with them. One of the great blessings of my life is now they are using them with their children. And I was visiting Andrew in New York, and we were getting caught up in the living room, and 1-year-old Hero crawls across the floor, and then he hauls himself up on a guitar that's on a stand in the corner. He starts banging on the strings. Now, over on the left, Andrew could have said no. He could have yanked the guitar away. He could have said, stop banging on the strings, all of which would have made Hero feel bad. Instead, he said one word. Do you know what he said? Gentle.
Oh, not stop.
Sylvia, I saw Hero's face transform in front of me, and he reached back to the guitar. He went strum, strum, strum. He reached up to some bells on the window, ring, ring, ring. And in that moment, Hero made music, and it was because Andrew chose to shape his behavior instead of shaming it. You know, he was a coach instead of a critic. By telling Hero what to start doing instead of stop doing, Hero learned from that situation instead of lost face. And to keep it in the generations, my dad used to tell me we can't motivate people to do better by making them feel bad.
Yeah. Catching
people does wrong, catches them doing wrong, makes them feel bad, doesn't show them how to do it better. So what do we want them to start? What's the desired behavior instead of the dreaded behavior? What's a word? It gives them a mental picture of what to do, not to do. Yeah. Transforms the situation.
And as I was looking through the book, and at the end of each chapter, so your book is laid out with the situations and some, background behind it, and then some words to say. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to remember all those chapters of do's? And I just so for everybody who gets the book, the back of her book has sort of a summary script for all of the examples, all the situations that Sam mentions in the book. So just for people to be assured of that. We're coming to a close in the program, so I always give my guests a chance to do some shameless self-promotion. So give us about a minute of how do we reach you? How do we work with you?
Thanks so much, Sylvia. It's easy. People can go to samhorn.com, SAMHORN.com. And Sylvia, hopefully you've seen that my goal here is to contribute and to add value. And so that website is not just buy my book, hire my consulting services. It's like, here are videos that you can share with your team. Here are blogs that you can post and put in your newsletter. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to work together, and hopefully that these ideas are ones you can use with your family, use with your staff, use with your audiences, use with your clients. And at the end of the game, if what I have to offer and contribute helps you in your personal and professional relationships, we're good.
Awesome. And what, 2 quick words you would like to leave viewers with that we go, yes.
Well, okay. They're a little bit more than 2. So Mother Teresa said, the world is full of good people. If you can't find one, be one. So I guess my words are be one.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. I have loved this all too short time. And to the viewers, thank you for being a part of Think About It today. I appreciate you. And as always, I invite you for any other programs to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, think about it. Make a great day.